Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's Look North. Our top story tonight. After rail workers and posties, nurses prepare for strike action, we hear from one woman who says she has no choice but to walk out.
I want to be there looking after my patients, but I've got to make that change. I've got to be part of making that change. I've got to be part of that voice.
Well, the NHS, already under winter pressure, will look at the impact on patient care. Also tonight, train company bosses are grilled by MPs over poor performance on rail services across the north. Tenants face losing their homes in Halifax as a landlord considers selling the land to a supermarket. And we're on the red carpet in Halifax for a preview of the return of BBC One's most popular drama series, Happy Valley.
Well, it's been a perfect winter's day. This was Hebden Bridge this morning, but another severe frost on the cards. Join me for the very latest.
Hello, thank you for watching. First tonight, a Yorkshire-based nurse says she feels she's been left with no option but to go on strike in a dispute with the government over pay and safety. The first of two walkouts before Christmas by members of the Royal College of Nursing will take place tomorrow. Nurses at 4 NHS organisations in this region are involved in the initial wave, which will not target emergency care, but is likely to cause disruption. Our health correspondent Jamie Coulson has this.
I want us to go back to healthy staffing ratios, to not having to choose between which patient we take to the toilet first. I want to be there looking after my patients, but I've got to make that change. I've got to be part of making that change. I think it's a hard decision for every nurse to make.
Rianne has been a nurse for 24 years and a Royal College of Nursing rep for 2. Tomorrow, she, along with thousands of colleagues in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, will take part in the first of 2 strikes before Christmas in a dispute they say is about pay and patient safety.
We're losing nurses. Nurses are leaving the NHS in droves because of the paying conditions. That ultimately affects patient care. That's what stops us being able to provide care to our patients. That's what we trained for. That's who we are, and we can't do it.
The strikes will not target emergency care, but while the union has negotiated safe staffing levels with NHS bodies, some care will be affected at a time when services are under pressure. In Yorkshire and the Humber, nurses at 4 NHS bodies, out of the 11 that voted in favour of strikes, will walk out in this first wave. They are Leeds Teaching Hospitals, Bradford Teaching Hospitals, Leeds Community Healthcare and NHS England. Nurses are calling for a pay rise of 5% above the RPI inflation rate, which was 14% in November, meaning an overall increase of 19%. Following independent advice, the government has offered an average of 4.75% in England, with the lowest paid guaranteed an increase of at least £1,400.
The NHS is stretched. There are huge backlogs at the moment. Is it right that nurses should strike?
I can only apologise to patients if their care is disrupted, and that's absolutely regrettable. But what I would say is, if nurses don't do this tomorrow and on Tuesday, then their care will be disrupted for many years to come. There is simply not enough nursing staff to care for patients today, and if we don't do this strike action, there'll be not enough for the foreseeable future.
Tomorrow, between 7 in the morning and 8 in the evening, the entrance behind me will be one of the picket lines in this dispute. The government has said it is disappointing that some staff will be taking strike action, but that the demands are simply unaffordable in the current economic circumstances.
I'll see you later. While the government say they have offered a fair pay settlement, many like Rianne believe that strike action is now their only choice. Jamie Coulson, BBC Look North.
Well, tomorrow we'll see the start of the biggest nurse walkout in the history of the NHS. So how will the strikes affect people in places like Leeds and Bradford tomorrow? Our reporter Heidi Tomlinson is at Leeds General Infirmary now. Heidi, what do you think tomorrow is likely to look like?
Well, this is the accident and emergency entrance of the LGI, and tomorrow you won't just see a steady stream of ambulances here, you will see a picket line, because this is one of the bases where the RCN nurses are coming here to strike. They're walking out over pay and patient care. What they're saying they want is a pay increase 5% over and above inflation. What the government's offered them is 4%. The government say that the nurses' request is unaffordable and unreasonable. So the RCN hasn't accepted that. They will be here tomorrow. How will it affect patients in our area? Well, there are 4 trusts involved. One of those is Bradford. The advice to patients there is that it wants to reassure people that it's trying to minimise the impact this strike has on critical services like A&E. It says it will do everything possible to go ahead with planned procedures for those in greatest clinical need, and it wants to stress that maternity services and GP appointments will not be affected. Well, it's a similar message here at the Leeds Trust, where they're saying that they want to balance patient care with the nurses and their staff's right to industrial action. Their advice is that anyone with serious illness or injuries should still come forward as normal, and they will be treated. However, if the situation is not life-threatening, then call 111 to be assessed. That's the best course of action. In terms of schedule appointments, if you've not been contacted by the hospital, then you should go in as planned. Now, some appointments have been postponed, and we've been told that they will be prioritised. The Trust here says that it knows the situation is frustrating for patients, and it apologises for any inconvenience. But there will be a second day of strike action. That will be next Tuesday on the 20th of December.
OK, Heidi in Leeds, thank you very much for that. And if you were due to have an operation or a medical procedure tomorrow that has been cancelled or postponed due to the strike action, we'd love to hear from you. Please send us an email at look.north@bbc.co.uk. Next night, it seems every week we're reporting on problems with our local trains. Today, of course, many services are not running at all because of a strike by members of the RMT union. But as you know, even when trains are on the tracks, many of you face late cancellations. Today, the bosses of 3 companies, Northern, TransPennine Express and Avanti, who run trains down the West Coast Main Line, were summoned to the House of Commons to give evidence to MPs who make up the Transport Select Committee. Well, Tom Ingle joins us now. Tom, what happened today then?
A hearing of 2 halves, I think you'd say, Phil. First of all, the MPs on the Transport Select Committee took evidence from people who've either studied the problems in the north of England with train travel or have experienced it firsthand. No shortage of that latter, of course. I think they could have had an open door session on anyone who wanted to drop in. But I thought Anthony Smith from Transport Focus, which is a passenger watchdog, summed up the problems really well.
We all know post-COVID, more people have got more choice about when to travel, if to travel and how to travel, and the railway has got to supply a consumer product that people want to buy and they can rely on.
And that's the word that came up again, reliability, confidence, building confidence amongst passengers. So the MPs then set about talking to the bosses of the 3 rail companies, you said. I think it's fair to say that Avanti were taking most of the questions. They run the main service down the West Coast Main Line, but plenty of questions to Northern and particularly TransPennine Express. The managing director of TPE was quizzed repeatedly about what's going wrong. Here he is.
So this year we've seen a number of factors. We haven't had the benefit of rest day working since December 2021. Training is often enabled by rest day working, particularly where you have circumstances, and I experienced it myself on Great Western, where you've got unusually high demands upon an operator because of the enhancement programme. We have seen high sickness, and we've also seen local and national action, all of which have eroded and hobbled our ability to make progress. But we have been absolutely going at it hammer and tongs to make the progress that we can.
Tom, I suppose what our viewers will want to know and what passengers will want to know, are we likely to see any improvement anytime soon?
Well, there was a lot of contrition, certainly on the part of all the train operating companies, but far less clarity about exactly dates for when things might improve. We heard a lot about the new timetable that's come in. We've heard a lot about TransPennine Express saying they need to get the rest day working agreement re-implemented, and that would mean their services would be much more reliable. This is what the MD had to say to passengers to apologise for that disruption.
Do you think the public want for us to continue with TP?
The clear message to us is give us the services that we want. I'll be completely honest, I think the challenges that we faced would have been the same challenges, the same solutions, whatever the name on the side of the train. And you know, we are completely focused on getting where we need to get to.
So they are, Trans-Pennine Express saying, no, whatever the name on the side of the train, they think there would still be these problems. So there is something for everyone to sit around the table and discuss.
OK, Tom, thank you very much for that. Next tonight, 4 people have been found not guilty of money laundering over an alleged conspiracy in Bradford involving £266 million. The jury in Leeds was unable to reach verdicts on 4 others, including the socialite James Stunt. Our Home Affairs correspondent Emma Glasby sent us this report from Leeds Crown Court.
The jury had listened to evidence for more than 7 months, and today, after more than 29 hours of deliberations, the jurors returned not guilty verdicts for 4 of the people on trial for money laundering. The jurors were unable to reach verdicts on 4 others: Gregory Frankel, Daniel Rawson, Haroon Rashid and the London socialite James Stunt. He is the ex-husband of Petra Eccleston, Bernie Eccleston's daughter. Those 4 men are charged over an alleged conspiracy involving £266 million paid into the bank account of Bradford gold dealer Fowler Oldfield. They deny the charges and will now face a retrial.
Emma Glasby reporting. Tenants near Halifax are facing eviction after their landlord has decided to sell the land for a new supermarket. Families now have a matter of weeks to find new homes at a time when the property market is slowing down for the Christmas period. Despite having lived there for up to 14 years, they're struggling to find homes they can afford. Beth Parsons has this report.
We've grown into the house. This has always been the children's home. It's all been ripped away from us and we've got to start again.
Anna's raised her 3 children in their family home for 14 years. But last month she was left a voicemail saying her landlord had given her 2 months to move out. That's because they're in conversations with Lidl about turning this area of land off Stannington Road in Greetland into a new supermarket.
Houses that I've been looking at, 3 bedrooms, even 2 bedrooms, they're practically double what I'm paying. I've even told the kids that Christmas might not happen this year because you've got to find a higher bond, you've got to find a higher rent. I'm self-employed, I'm manager of a spa, so if I don't work I don't get paid.
She's finding it particularly hard to tell her youngest child about the situation, who's currently being tested for autism and struggles adapting to change.
She flares up, kicks off, her behaviour changes, it's quite dramatic. So for me to then have to, at some point, tell her that I'm going to have to move. Sorry. That's the hardest bit, because it's been my home, but it's equally her home, and I know that it's going to affect her behaviour, it's going to affect her schooling. She won't sleep, her moods will change. It's just going to be very difficult. I'm going to have to make it exciting, so I can't tell her until I know that I've definitely found somewhere. But that's my struggle right now, the fact that I can't find somewhere.
What do you think would help the situation for you now?
Just more time.
Very bleak looking Scarborough. Look at the grey skies and the snow on the beach. And this picture, the next picture, is the frozen Leeds-Liverpool Canal. And again, that's quite unusual so early in winter to see that frozen over. Keep the pictures coming in, Twitter, Instagram and on the Weather Watcher website. So temperatures are already dropping away. Tonight we're looking down to -7 or -8, and tomorrow another dazzling winter's day. Blue skies, sunshine. There will be a few sleet and snow showers towards the coast. It's been quite difficult at times getting between Pickering and Whitby. The road there's been quite treacherous. More snow showers to come over the North York Moors and in that area. But you'll notice a bit of a difference. Friday and Saturday, more isobars, so it's going to turn windy, a cold wind at that, and then this system will bring rain preceded by a short spell of snow on Sunday. Right, you can see the clouds drifting down the North Sea at the moment, so there's still some sleet and snow showers in easternmost areas towards the coast. Elsewhere, it's dry and clear. Those showers moving offshore, so it's a very cold and frosty night once more, and we're looking generally temperatures down to -6, -7, possibly as low as -8 in some spots. High water times then, Scarborough 8:38, another nithering day along the coast. So it's frosty, dry and sunny first thing. You see those sleet and snow showers in eastern areas towards the coast. They'll run in for a bit but then become much more isolated through the afternoon. Elsewhere it looks dry, sunny and cold. Temperatures marginally high. We've had 1s and 2s, perhaps 3 if we're lucky tomorrow afternoon. Friday and Saturday, mostly dry, some sunshine. There's that big change to much milder conditions by the time we get to Monday. That's the forecast.
At 4 degrees tomorrow, I'm going to celebrate that.
I know. It'll last about 10 minutes.
That's as far as we go for now. I'll be back with a late bulletin at 10:30. I'll see you then. Good night.